ELC. This is, or it was, depending on how you look at things, one of the most toxic tanks in Cold War, maybe in the entire game. Now, a week or so ago, I did a video on the ELC where I showed you guys a replay from a fellow from Russia, so thank you again, sir, for sending that in. It was a very good game. But it did demonstrate, even though you got 10 kills, I think you got 10 kills, it did demonstrate the power of the ELC. Now, the game has changed a lot, and I uploaded that video before the changes, and it went live after the changes were implemented, so it kind of turned into anything I talked about was irrelevant because the game had changed, but it was nonetheless still a good game, and it was a trip down memory lane, you could say. But the comment section of that video did raise a question, and that question was, is the ELC still toxic? That is a bit of an odd question now, in my opinion, because the ELC now is a typical tank destroyer. Prior to these changes, or in the game, prior to the concealment changes, like the proxy spot is now 50 meters, not 35. Right now, I would have my ELC in A4, and I would be slowly making my way up the A line to A5, A6, 7, 8, 9, and I'd be sitting in a bush, or I'd be sitting in the bush that is in the back of A9, and that would be my strategy for farming spotting assist, because I can spot everybody who's sitting on the ridge, and they won't know I'm there because I'm a 35 meter proxy spot. Can't do that now. I now need to play this like it's a tank destroyer, which, you could say, well, yeah, it's fine then. The ELC is fine. Well, yes and no. The tank itself is fine now, but the problem is the way wargaming, it's the environment in which the ELC plays. So, for example, we've all had moments when we shoot a tank and it bounces. The ELC, the Weasel 1, the Weasel Toe are very small vehicles. Don't know what that hit, but hey. It's difficult to hit these tanks on the move, especially when they're at range because they're so small. When you do hit them, your rounds bounce. So that's not a problem with the ELC, that's a problem with the game. And that's been a problem for a long time. And it's odd that it's odd that this even happens, to be honest. And I hope Wargaming one day will look at this and fix it, but these small tanks, the Weasel 1, the Weasel Toe, ELC, these tanks, for whatever reason, are in this category of mega armoured, but have no armour. It's odd. And it's not these tanks' fault, it's the way Wargaming implement these mechanics in their game. So, is the ELC toxic? Well, no, the ELC isn't toxic, but the way the game works around it creates a toxicity to it, and that's I don't really know how to put it other than it is the ELC toxic? Like, yes, but no. It's an odd one, and it's not long now in this game, and we'll get to another point, but we'll make another point. But what I do feel has happened with the game is Wargaming have been reactive. They've not been proactive. They didn't think carefully enough when they introduced the Weasel 1, the Weasel Toe, and the ELC. They just didn't. And I think the main reason for all these game changes is because they needed a way to balance these tanks without actually changing these tanks. So your ELC is not toxic anymore. Did they change the ELC? No. Did they have to issue you a refund? No. They've gotten around the issue. But what they have done is they've highlighted their sort of inability to understand their own game and the way that players would play these tanks. I mean, again, I remember when the Weasel Toe came out, I told everybody, go get one, it's amazing to have this 35-meter concealment, and you're tiny and rounds bounce off of you, you're quick and you can smack everyone for 1400 damage, and yeah, it was a novelty at the time. I didn't know Wargaming were going to actually make that a staple of their premium, the strategy for premium sales. So they knew what they were doing, or maybe they didn't know what they were doing. They created the goose that lays the golden egg. But what ended up happening is that you got these vehicles that were just ridiculous. They didn't think about this stuff. And now they've had to alter the game around them. They've had to change the way, the proxy spot is, and the mechanics work, and the minimum arm distance, and all this stuff. They just didn't think about it. And now what we have is a situation in a game like this, where ELC versus ELC. These tanks are tiny, they're difficult to hit, so you've got the minimum arm distance right there. So what do we do? Do we just drive around in circles, slapping each other with wet noodles? Is this how the game is meant to be? This scenario right here feels like a reactive response from the developer. The game was never meant to be like this, but they've turned it into this because they didn't think properly about the Weasel Toe, the Weasel 1, the ELC. This is what you get, in my opinion, this is what you get when you're not proactive, you're reactive. So I'm aware that I can't get away from this ELC. It's not strategic play because he's just as fast as I am and he'll just follow me around everywhere, last alive, set on fire. There's no strategy here, it's just bumper cars now. I'm deliberately ignoring him because, well, there's no point wasting my ATGMs on him. I'll do my best to take out other tanks. So I took out the M60. And all this ELC is doing now, he's just trying to ram me. And it's like, is this World of Tanks? Or is this something else? What are we playing here? Try and take the shot on the BMP, he rams me and there's the kill. So it's like, the ELC on its own is a tank destroyer, it's fine. But that scenario is like, is this really what we're meant to be playing? Is this really how the game's meant to be? I don't know, guys. You tell me. But to answer the question, is the ELC still toxic as a tank destroyer? No, I don't think it is. I think it fits quite well into the game now. But all this other weird, funky stuff, the gameplay like that you see at the end, it's just odd, in my opinion. It's just weird. It's strange to me that the game has ended up in a place like this. But hey, it is what it is. You guys tell me what you think about this situation. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. Alright guys, that's all I've got. So if you've enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. If not a dislike, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.